I'm reviewing Barbie, released in 2023, just over a year ago as of this recording. It's directed by Greta Gerwig and written by her. It stars Margot Robbie as well as Ryan Gosling. This movie had been nominated for Best Picture at the 2024 Oscars. At the time, I didn't think it merited nomination, but after watching it a second time now, I can say that nomination is deserved, although I still think it should not have won. I didn't see this movie in theaters. I watched it when it became available on streaming services. I couldn't watch it in one viewing, had to watch it in bits. I didn't think it was that great. For me, the only thing that redeemed the movie as a whole would be Ryan Gosling's performance as one of the Kens, the main Ken, and the ending. It finished strong. Now, after watching it a second time, over a year later, I can say that I appreciate it more. I still don't like certain aspects of it, but the strong parts are still strong. The intro, the shot-for-shot homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey. The ending, of course. Gosling is a really good comedic foil. I like the first act, the set design, certain scenes, most of them involving Ken. Ryan Gosling's Ken, I mean. What don't I like about it? Parts that are intended to be inspiring or spectacular, they don't really land for me, like the musical number, I'm Just Ken. Fair play to Ryan Gosling for doing his best, but the song isn't great. And America Ferrera's speech, I think the filmmakers were expecting the audience to stand up and cheer. Kind of goes on for a bit too long. I would say that's kind of the issue with the movie itself. It's a bit too long. It's just under 2 hours. I think it would have benefited by being maybe 10 to 15 minutes shorter. Will Ferrell's CEO and executive team chasing after Barbie, I thought those scenes were the weakest. I think they're still the weakest, but they're more tolerable the second time around. I would say it's a good movie that I don't actually like watching. It's a lot like the latest Batman movie. I know it's good. I know in theory I should like it, but I don't. Barbie definitely has parallels to Batman. They're both these iconic characters that represent not just ideas, but ideals that people aspire to. Barbie takes a lot of heat. Whether intended or not, it's a representation, a reflection of people's beauty ideals and gender roles. I know this movie could be dismissed as being a glorified commercial, but you could say the same thing about everything that's part of a franchise, that's part of a larger product line. But the movie does have some subversive elements and self-deprecating parts. It's also easy to dismiss this movie as like a feminist movie because people equate being a feminist with being a misandrist, a man-hater. It's true that the Kens in the movie are man-children. The part where they're mansplaining like Photoshop in The Godfather, that was like, whoa, that's kind of real. But this movie, I would say it's more about self-empowerment and self-actualization, striving for your potential, your ideal self, your best self. And that's really what Barbie as a toy, as a product, has always been about. I would recommend watching Tiny Shoulders. It's this documentary that looks at the history of Barbie, also kind of looks at this relatively recent redesign of the product. It's a good companion to this movie. There's better movies that deal with the same themes. 2001: A Space Odyssey, in a way. The evolution of being. Toy Story, of course. That existential crisis among toys that would otherwise be having an idyllic existence. That's really what the movie is about. It's about striving to not just exist, but to truly live. And the paradox is that to truly live, you have to also be ready to die. I like how the movie touches on that. I would say watch this movie, if nothing else, to just kind of see what the buzz is about. This movie will probably be the most remembered of 2023, maybe even more so than Oppenheimer. I wouldn't be surprised if decades from now this movie is selected for preservation in the Library of Congress just because of its broad appeal, even though it's not necessarily a great and landmark movie